Well, here I am. Another video. This, unfortunately, is going to be a follow-up to the video I just posted about the so-called Armenian Genocide Resolution from the U.S. Senate. No more than 10 minutes after I posted that video, I received a threat from a guy named the Armenian Spartan. So I don't know if he's some sort of tough guy or some sort of loudmouth or whatever. He made a number of different insults, and he tried to say that the Armenians genocide was real, that they were wronged, that Turkey should pay. So this is going to be a follow-up video and a little bit of history lesson to the so-called Armenian Spartan. Let me kindly remind you that the Armenians themselves are very bloody, and they have a lot of innocent blood on their hands. And one prime example is done in history and recorded in an incident in World War II Poland in the Warsaw Ghetto. And I'm going to read you a little bit about it in this book. Now, the writer is named Robert Borzek. Robert Borzek has a PhD in international relations and national security from the University of Maryland. But a strong background in European and Asian military history. He served as a lieutenant colonel in the reserves. And his cohort that also helped write this book was Peter Dennis, who has studied at the Liverpool College, and he's done a lot of books. And these guys are, they had a keen interest in a lot of history. So in 1944 in Poland, that they decided that they were going to rise up and kick the Germans out. So this group of Jews and Poles decided that enough is enough. So they decided to rise up against their German captors, and a pretty good-sized fight broke out. Now, one of the units that was called in to destroy these forces was, and my German is bad, Mr. Spartan, Armenian or whatever, wannabe tough guy, whatever. So, you're going to have to bear with me. They came from the Gilgriz Jagger Regiment Bergman. Okay? This is one of the units that was comprised of Armenian volunteers. Okay? Armenian volunteers with the SS. Waffen-SS, you might want to call it. So these guys were considered second line to third line troops. They were not very good. And they were very much so unreliable. But since these Armenians did not like Jews, they thought it was good times. We could get a little bit of revenge. So roughly about 5,000 troops of Armenian volunteers, they rolled into the city, into a little province called Wola in Warsaw. So these guys, instead of trying to advance and do a little bit of fighting, right? These guys decided they were going to spend their time they decided they're going to fucking kill everybody. So the idea from Himmler is to use terror tactics to break the morale of the insurgents in the suburb of Wola, where his object lesson. SS troops went to door, Armenian conscripts and volunteers went to door, rousing out all civilians and setting the buildings on fire. No one was exempt. They rounded up every man, woman, and child in a 1-kilometer stretch of the Wolska Street. Many civilians were shot on the spot, and there were so many that the man in charge, named Ronfar, ordered them to be sent to the rear for execution since they were getting in the way of the military mission moving forwards, pushing towards Stabul. Thousands of civilians were herded westward and they were executed in the yard of the Urus factory by Armenian troops. Watching these columns of civilians, Reinfard lamented, "This is our biggest problem, these refugees. I don't have enough ammunition to kill them all." So the Armenian troops went in on a rampage through the hospitals of Wola, murdering 500 staff and patients at the Wola Hospital on Poloka Street and 600 more at the St. Lazarus Hospital. In October, which is a street in Poland, in Warsaw, that they were fighting, Rona units finally began advancing at 9:30 hours. The Roland units had Azerbaijan and Armenians in it, including Russian POW turncoats. Despite the fact that the armor support, and there was fewer than 300 lightly armed Poles in the sector, the unit barely advanced 300 meters on the 5th of August. Instead, the Rola troops, including the 2,000 Armenians that was in that regiment, spent most of their efforts looting, getting drunk, murdering civilians, and raping Polish women. The Rona troops with the Armenian regiment in it did not even bother attacking the AK-held Aska and Wallace depots in Oskoda. These repots they were talking about was little strongholds. It's some sort of Polish word for it. The AK was the Polish Home Army. So, instead, their main accomplishments for the day was murdering most of the staff and patients at the Marakuri Hospital. And we witnessed people being doused with gasoline and burned alive in the park on the Ronda Institute on Wallace Street. We realized we must fight to the very end, because likewise we'll be all killed without mercies by these vicious band of thugs, which included the Armenian unit that was involved. Much of the Wehrmacht troops that was assigned to support the Kaminsky Brigade, which had the Armenian troops in it, were disgusted with the non-military behavior of this unit, and some regular units refused to work with it. Although the attack boosted Polish morale when they destroyed some of their units, it occurred while SS were massacring over 10,000 Polish civilians, only 1,400 meters to the southwest. Here's a map what the German counterattack looks like. Let's see if I can get it on camera. Okay. These people, over the 2 days that they were fighting in Wola, so-called fighting, here's another painting, Spartan Armenian, or whatever you want to call yourself. Pretty much by the end of the day, in the 2 days of alleged fighting, which they were not doing, they were massacring people, including in the Old Town District. When it was finally said and done, according to this book, that the Armenian unit that was involved, that I told you what was at the beginning of this video, massacred over 40,000 civilians. More dead in 2 days than the 33,612 that was massacred in September of 1941 at Yarabar by SS troops and conscripts. So, Mr. Armenian Spartan dickhead with the big mouth and the tough guy wannabe attitude, I also would like to note, after reading this book, and I've read it before, that not a single one of those damn Armenians were ever brought to trial for them massacring those people. 40,000 plus. They raped the nurses and then killed them. They lit rooms on fire just to throw children in there and watch them burn. Set fire to some of the buildings and shoot the civilians as they run out on fire. Man, woman, and child. And these pricks got away with it. So where's their resolution? Why isn't the Poles suing the Armenians? Because you know why? Because there's not a goddamn thing in Armenia that's worth it. It's a worthless country with worthless people in it. So, tough guy, little bit of history. Let me show you what the little book was from Osprey. Warsaw, 1944. And I got 3 other bigger books that go into more detail that I have in my collection. So, tough guy, you want to do anything about it? I'm not that far away if you live in Glendale, tough guy. This goes out to you. Suck it up, Buttercup.